Trump likes to ask, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And the truth of the matter is, most people are better off today than they were 4 years ago. And here, Chris Hayes does a good job of pointing this out with respect to the coronavirus and a few other things. But I'll tell you something. One of the issues, well, we'll talk about that on the other side. Check this out.
Remember Ronald Reagan talking about Jimmy Carter?
Ronald Reagan used to ask,
are you better off?
are you better off?
Are you better off?
Are you better off?
Are we better off?
It's not whether we're better off, it's whether they're better off.
Are you better off?
Better off.
Better off.
Better off?
Better off. Better off.
Better off.
Better off.
Better off.
Better off.
Than you were 4 years ago.
Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? For nearly half a century, almost every candidate for president has asked the American people to consider that question before casting their ballot. Even Donald Trump, who really should not be asking that question, but he does. So let's take a look. This is the front page of the New York Times from 4 years ago, yesterday, March 27th, 2020. Donald Trump was the president. It was 2 weeks since everything shut down amid the outbreak of the newly diagnosed deadly coronavirus. Let's take a look at the headlines. Job losses soar. U.S. virus cases top world. New data shows staggering toll of outbreak. And this one, crucial, under Trump, unfilled posts hinder action. And then look at this at the bottom of the page here in yellow. Okay, that's a graph of like the weekly unemployment claims since all the way back to the year 2000. You can see how it goes along and it spikes a little during the Great Recession. And then we hit the pandemic, and that's 1 week. It skyrockets up the side of that chart. This was also the week Major League Baseball started the 2020 season playing games in empty stadiums. Even Las Vegas effectively went dark, shutting down the entire strip. Now, listen to how then President Donald Trump talked about the state of our country versus the real reporting from this week 4 years ago.
Breaking news tonight, the deadliest day and the running tally of coronavirus cases in the U.S. topping 100,000.
A lot of incredible things are happening. It's really happening. We're winning it, and we'll be bigger and better and stronger than we were even before.
Inside the epicenter in New York City, hospitals stretched to the limit. One doctor saying it's like a war zone. The state needs as many as 40,000 ventilators.
We've had great success over the last month. Millions and millions of pieces of equipment have been delivered successfully by us. The governors have been very gracious for the most part, I would say. A couple that aren't appreciative of the incredible job.
Governor Cuomo says the need is dire because COVID-19 patients can require ventilators up to 5 times longer than others.
This is a rescue mission.
Are you able to guarantee, to assure these states, these hospitals, that everybody who needs a ventilator will get a ventilator?
So here's what I'll tell you. I think we're in really good shape.
Everybody who needs one will be able to get a ventilator.
Look, don't be a cutie pie, okay? You know, everyone who needs one.
The governor of New Mexico requesting a combat field hospital as Army medical teams from Colorado and Kentucky deploy to hard-hit regions.
What we've done, nobody can even imagine. And by the way, I've had governors tell me, including Democrat governors, they said, we can't believe you've been able to do this.
This leaked memo from Henry Ford Hospital lays out worst-case scenario plans, including guidance on life and death decisions.
Michigan, all she does is she has no idea what's going on, and all she does is say, oh, it's the federal government's fault. All I want them to do, very simple, I want them to be appreciative.
Wants them to be appreciative. Remember that? So you tell me, are you better off today than when you were that week 4 years ago?
One of the problems that Americans have is they buy into the rhetoric. So Donald Trump describes his presidency, a presidency that never really was successful. He would tell people, remember, things were better when I was president. You have to remember, Donald Trump was handed a good economy from Barack Obama, for which he took down progressively. First, it stayed on the same climb that Obama was on for 8 years or 7 years or whatever the climb was for Obama. And he summarily, when the pandemic came, and even before the pandemic, as we've explained several videos before, even before the pandemic, he started the process of tanking the economy with the bad policies of giving away money to the wealthy class, leaving the other classes with temporary tax this. And look, It was terrible. There is a difference between the semblance of prosperity and real prosperity. The semblance of of doing something for poverty and actually doing something for poverty. In as much as it's really still bad. People living paycheck to paycheck has gone from 80% to 60%. I mean, it's not a good number still, but what we're saying is if you're really looking for effectiveness, there definitely isn't Trump policy, and you definitely aren't in the aggregate better off 4 years ago than you are today. And if you're believing that, that is believing the rhetoric, and believing that rhetoric could have you make a bad decision that you would pay for not only the duration of a Trump presidency if he were to succeed, but for likely a large part of your life. But again, like I said in several other videos, I think that he will be losing in a landslide.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.